Welcome to the Silicon Road Chess channel. This channel will show you how to use chess engines like Leela and Stockfish as powerful training partners in the opening, middle game and endgame, and help you improve your chess in exciting and modern ways. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler. I'm a 2-time British champion. I've been ranked in the world's top 50 for many years, and I'm also a prolific author. My most recent book was Game Changer, written together with Natasha Regan, which brought the amazing chess games of DeepMind's AlphaZero to the world. My next book, The Silicon Road to Chess Improvement, which will come out in the last part of 2021, is just like this channel, all about learning from and training with engines. This video is in our Great Engine Attack series and features a game played between Stockfish and Leela in the recent viewer-submitted openings bonus event played at the TCEC. I think this was played just a few weeks ago. We are going to witness a very nice attack from Stockfish, in which it relinquishes its bishop pair in order to create a sacrificial entry point for a bishop on g6. After watching this video, you will have gained knowledge of a very typical attacking scenario, and also have gained a lot of knowledge about the surrounding tactics that make it all possible. Let's have a look. Well, watching engine chess nowadays is often a feast of amazement at the ideas that they come up with, but from time to time you see a passage of play where you think, oh, I could have done better. And, well, such a moment occurred in the recent viewer-submitted openings bonus and a game between Stockfish and Leela. Stockfish is white and Leela is black. So we joined the position after white's 36 move. Stockfish was confident, plus 1.28, but Leela was quite calm really at 0.35, and I couldn't really understand why. I mean, white's got the two bishops, a massive space advantage on the king side. The black king's there on the king side as well as a target. We've got plenty of space for the major pieces to swing from side to side, and well, even though black has got a weak pawn on e4 to attack from white, and has an outpost on c4 for the knight, I mean, that knight is very unlikely to be able to move from e5 because of the weakness of the f6 pawn behind it. So essentially it felt like two bishops, nice position for white, and little counterplay for black. But yeah, Leela was looking very calm about it. And after its next move, rook f8, well, Leela's assessment was 0.32, so it even went down a little bit. But Stockfish was getting excited, and well, we're going to see why that was. Simply, yeah, I mean, what Leela had missed was not too difficult. I felt, whilst I was watching it, I really felt that I could have definitely launched quite a bit of this attack myself in something like a rapid game or something. It didn't feel too difficult, though. There are a few sub-variations where I think, well, I might have fallen for that or messed it up in a quick play finish or something. But in principle, it wasn't too difficult. White played bishop takes e5, rook takes e5, and then this move bishop g6. A very typical attack. And, kind of obvious for a human. I mean, that's kind of why you put the bishop on h5, right? To have these ideas of bishop g6. And well, one of the revelations that I got when I spent a couple of weeks analysing the attacks of the great Michal Tal was that a lot of his attacks were not actually that complicated. It all involved just sort of taking stuff and then attacking stuff, in a very forcing way. And well, I mean, I tried to learn from that when you're playing attacks, you mustn't get fixated on only complicated stuff, which is definitely one of the things I tend to do. I get a bit of tunnel vision that way. Simply the simple stuff, taking a piece, removing a defender, and then attacking a weak point, that can also be very, very effective. And well, here it's completely indefensible. So, I mean, white's threatening queen h5 here. A move like rook takes c4, I just go queen h5, takes. I'm threatening h takes g7, so the king has to move there to give black the chance to take back with the queen on g7. But then I go rook g3, and well, it's white's definitely going to win the queen at the very least, and possibly a lot more than that. So after bishop to g6, black plays takes, and now rook fe8. And here you really see what the bad point was about after rook d1 about Leela's move rook f8. In the attack that ensues, well, I mean, the black king is doomed in the corner. It has to run to escape, and this rook on f8 is actually stopping the black king from coming to g8, f8, e7, d8. So black has to waste a tempo to move the rook, and well, that's the tempo that is crucial for white to ensuring the win. So black played rook f8, queen h5 check, king g8. And now black's idea is to run with the king to f8 to e7 to d8. And it's pretty clear that something around this f6 pawn, that's the one that'll stop, if I get a pawn to f6 for example, that's the thing that'll stop the king from running to e7. So how can I do that? Well, there's a number of different ideas. I mean, queen check here and gf is the first obvious thing you look at. You're exploiting this pin on the 7th and just threatening queen h8 mate. However, black's got this simple possibility of queen f4 check. If I go rook g3, then simply queen f6 is winning. The king goes to e7 afterwards. If I go back to g1, then queen f6 would allow rook f1 check. But queen g4 check is perpetual. King h2, queen f4. So that's not perfect. I did have a clever idea. I thought, could I play this lovely move rook takes c7? And then after queen takes c7, I will play queen check, takes, and takes. And, well, I've basically knocked the queen away from d7 to c7, so it can't invade to g4 anymore. And my first thought was that after queen b6, king f1, black had no more checks, and it's just going to be a win. I'm threatening queen h8 mate, and takes, whoops, add variation, allows queen f7 mate. However, I was quite happy to spot, without the engine having to point it out to me, that black has a lovely desperado here. Rook f5 check, takes, and then bishop g2 check. King takes g2 is forced, but after rook e2, it's black that's going to mate, not white, because the move I hoped I had, king h1, just allows queen b7 check, and then queen g2 checkmate. So neither of those are good. But what Stockfish came up with was this move rook f3. Very logical, in fact, to bring the rook onto the f-file. And it also kind of shields stuff. If the black queen later can come into g4, I can play king f2, and then there's no more checks. The only odd thing was, I was expecting this rook to come to the f-file. It felt more natural to keep a rook on c3, attacking a pawn on c7, for example. But there's a clever idea behind this, of course. So we'll see how that works out. So rook f3 here. Leela ran straight away with king f8, and we'll see what happened against that. But we've got two other ideas that are interesting. First of all, can black just ignore everything and go rook e4? Well, we've got a great idea here. King f8 and rook takes f6 check. This is the key idea behind it. King e7, rook f7 check, wins the queen on d7. And the really beautiful point, quite unusual actually, is that after takes, I go check and queen f6. And yeah, the black king is completely hemmed in by its major pieces. This rook has not had a good career with the king. First of all, blocking him in with f8, and then blocking him in on e8 as well. So that's really, really nice. The main move actually is to play f5, which is basically trying to block the f-file with a white f-pawn, which will hopefully then give the king some cover to escape. But here again we've got some beautiful lines. Takes, ef. Now queen f5 is not particularly logical and fails to add variation. Rook f1 with a pin, and a complete win for white. But the very nicest line is queen c6 in this position, with a counter threat of mate on g2. And here white plays check, king f8, check, king e7, and now check, king d8, swaps off the queens, and now h5. And this is the one that's really difficult for a human to visualize. The pawns are actually queening here. You can't stop the pawn running all the way there, so black can munch a little bit at these space invaders, but after h7 and h8 queen, it's just a win for white. Very, very nice. So after rook f3, Leela ran with king f8, but I'm sure you can spot the tactic now. It was rook takes f6, exactly. G takes f6, not possible because of check there and checkmate, worth seeing a second time. So king e7 was played, but after rook f7 check, king d8, takes, takes, queen g4 check, rook there, h5, rook takes c4, queen f5, then white was winning in actual fact. I mean, to be honest, I'd be a little bit nervous about finishing this off in a rapid play game, you know, with a couple of minutes on my clock against a strong human opponent. The white king is a little bit open, but in principle, you know, we've got those, you know, that big kingside pawn majority and the opportunity to create a pass pawn with h6. It's going to be winning eventually, and well, Stockfish had, of course, absolutely no problem winning it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that attack. Just a nice one, wasn't it? And yeah, funny that sometimes Leela, you know, just does miss the occasional not too difficult tactic like that. And well, that's always very, very dangerous against a tactical monster like Stockfish. So I hope you've got a nice new attacking scenario there in your head. And well, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And otherwise, thanks very much for watching.